For 28 years, a wall of concrete and fear cut a city in two. Families were separated, friends became enemies, and anyone who tried to cross risked death. On one cold night in 1989, that wall suddenly fell. This is the story of how the Berlin Wall collapsed and changed the world forever. After World War II, Germany was split between the victorious Allied powers. The West became a democratic federal republic, while the East fell under Soviet communist control. Berlin, the former capital, was located deep inside East Germany, yet it was also divided. West Berlin was a vibrant, free island of capitalism. East Berlin, on the other hand, was governed by the strict, oppressive hand of the Soviet Union. Life in the East was bleak for many. There was little freedom and even less opportunity, so people started to leave. By the late 1950s, millions of East Germans, including many skilled workers and professionals, had fled to the West, most of them through the open border in Berlin. The communist government was facing a catastrophic brain drain. Its very existence was threatened. Their solution was drastic and brutal. On the night of August 13, 1961, they began to build a wall. What started as barbed wire fences quickly became a formidable concrete barrier. It stretched for nearly 100 miles, circling West Berlin entirely. It was a complex system of walls, fences, watchtowers, and a deadly death strip filled with sand, anti-vehicle trenches, and tripwire machine guns. Berlin was no longer just a divided city. It had become a prison for those in the East. Life behind the wall was a world of constant surveillance and paranoia. The infamous secret police, the Stasi, had an army of informants who spied on their own friends, neighbors, and even family members. Any sign of dissent could lead to imprisonment or worse. The wall wasn't just physical, it was a psychological barrier, a constant reminder of the state's absolute power. Despite the danger, the desire for freedom was a powerful motivator. People attempted to escape in a variety of desperate and ingenious ways. Digging tunnels, flying homemade hot air balloons, hiding in cars, even swimming across canals. But the price of failure was high. It's estimated that more than 140 people were killed trying to cross the Berlin Wall. Their only crime was seeking a better life on the other side. The wall wasn't just concrete and wire. It was built on fear and stained with blood. By the late 1980s, however, cracks were appearing not just in the wall, but in the entire Soviet bloc. The Soviet Union itself was facing severe economic problems under its new leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, who introduced policies of glasnost, or openness, across Eastern Europe. Inspired by this new climate, people began to demand change. In Poland, the Solidarity movement gained power. Hungary opened its border with Austria, creating a new escape route for East Germans. Inside East Germany, the pressure was reaching a boiling point. Huge, peaceful demonstrations filled the streets of cities like Leipzig and East Berlin. Hundreds of thousands of people chanted "Wir sind das Volk," we are the people. The communist government was cornered. They were losing control, and they knew they had to do something to relieve the pressure before the situation exploded into violence. But the wall, that ultimate symbol of oppression, still stood. That is, until one fateful, confusing mistake changed the course of history. On the evening of November 9, 1989, a mid-level East German official named Günter Schabowski was scheduled to hold a routine press conference. He was handed a note just before he went on air, outlining new, relaxed travel regulations. The plan was to announce them as a gradual change for the following day. But Schabowski hadn't been properly briefed. A reporter asked him when the new rules would take effect. Flustered, Schabowski scanned the paper and mumbled the infamous words, "As far as I know, effective immediately, without delay." The news spread like wildfire. East Berliners, in disbelief, started gathering at the crossing points along the wall. The border guards were completely confused. They had received no new orders. The crowds grew larger and more insistent, chanting "Tore off, open the gate." Faced with a massive peaceful crowd and no instructions to use force, the overwhelmed guards at one checkpoint finally gave in. They opened the gates. What followed was one of the most emotional and surreal nights of the 20th century. People streamed through the checkpoints, laughing, crying, and embracing the West Berliners who had rushed to greet them. Strangers hugged strangers. East and West Germans, separated for a generation, were united once again. People climbed onto the wall, dancing and singing, chipping away at the hated structure with hammers and chisels. The Wallpeckers, they were called. The night the Berlin Wall fell was a night of pure euphoria. It marked the symbolic end of a divided Germany and a divided Europe. Within a year, Germany would be officially reunified. Within 2 years, the Soviet Union itself would cease to exist. The Cold War, the tense standoff that had defined global politics for over 4 decades, was effectively over. A wall that once symbolized division, oppression, and fear had become an unforgettable symbol of freedom, unity, and the unstoppable power of the people. The Berlin Wall didn't just fall. It was pushed over by ordinary people who dared to demand their freedom. Its collapse proved that even the most powerful and seemingly permanent systems can crumble in an instant. If you want to discover more real stories behind the Cold War, the Great Wars, and the people who changed history forever, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.